Welcome to Subramani. I have always been a big fan of documentation. When you make investments, when you incur expenses, you need to document. This is a document crazy country, and if you don't make documents, you could get your people into trouble. You could get into trouble yourself if you get into a coma or something like that. And you will not be able to very clearly, specifically tell people when things go wrong. Recently, a friend of mine, parents' house was flooded in Chennai, but her father, who is now 90 plus, had the clarity to tell her what things are lying, what things are important, how to pick up the hard disk, right? And he knew where some of the important things were lying, and a mother knew where some of the important other things were lying. Not everybody is so well organized. So if you ask me, the most important thing is to have an investment philosophy statement, something which I've spoken about in my book about 10 years ago. You should know what you're investing, why you're investing, what is the philosophy of your investing, what is the criteria for selection, and how will you do a review of your investments. Once you have all this written down in some place with the involvement of your wife and children, that would be great, because people would know one day when you die, people will be able to pick up documents far more easily. So the first is to say that I need a investment philosophy statement, and investment philosophy statement will first start with a master directory of all your investments. So what is a master directory and how it is to be created, we'll do it separately. And largely, if you have been an investment collector, इसने बोला IPO में डाला, or एक friend is a fund manager, so in this fund you're doing some SIP. So we have largely been collector of investments rather than saying I need to make this investment for a particular goal. You just have some apples, you have your goals and you have your assets. You're not really connected the two, but you have more than adequate money. And if your daughter comes and says I want money for education, you know from where you will pay. If your son says I want to buy a house, and you may decide to contribute to part of the house, you know from where you will do it. It's all in your head. You need to put it down on paper if you accept that you're mortal. We are all mortal, but some of us take a longer time to accept. So largely, an investment philosophy statement puts down your strategy in writing. So it could be for a 30-year-old to invest in low-cost funds, invest in direct equity, invest in some small-time debt, and keep on doing this till I'm 55. And at that stage, increase the debt allocation, reduce the equity allocation, something like this, but written down well, so that people know whether you choose low-cost ETF, low-cost index funds, direct equity, or you say I don't care a damn about cost, I will choose good funds. I don't care whether they outperform every year. Whatever is your philosophy, I'm not getting into what is right and wrong. For example, I do day trading, I do deep value investing, I do everything. So I have one share which is held for 60 years, and I have other shares which I may not even hold for 60 hours, right? So everything, but somewhere it has to be written down and put down in a document which can be saved, maybe password protected, right? So today every document can be password protected. It's not so difficult. So sit with your family and jot down your goals. That's important, because if you do not tag an investment to a goal, they don't know why you have made it. You just bought some shares, so it's lying there. They will not know when to buy, when to sell, why you have bought. If they don't know why you have bought, how will they know when to sell? Or you say, after my death, since nobody is interested in equity, please sell everything and put money in an index fund. That's also possible. But at least leave everything organized and in one place, right? Your investment strategy can be complicated, can be simple, doesn't really matter. You say how much you want to keep in equity, how much you want to keep in debt. Right now I want to be 85% in equity, and slowly going towards my age of 65, I will go to 35% in equity and 65% in debt. Perfectly all right. So every 3 years or every 5 years or whenever there is a boom, you will reallocate by selling some equity and investing in some debt. Now it could be a debt instrument, which could be could be a insurance policy, could be an annuity, could be just a plain Jane debt fund, right? Any of these things, and you say where all you will put, or if your portfolio is less than 2 crores, maybe you will put into senior citizen savings scheme and Pradhan Mantri Varishta Bima Yojana. But if your portfolio is say 15 crores, it does not make sense to put 15 lakhs in these chota things. It does not really matter. You are anyway going to pay tax on your dividend, right? So you might as well pay tax here. Then document all your current assets. Say this is an asset, I bought this share, this is the price, this is my target price, and this is why I bought it for. So maybe you write down. Writing down brings more clarity. When I say write down, I mean capture it. You can capture it in audio like this, or you can type it, or you can just take the photograph of that and talk about it. All kind of possibilities are there. You decide how you want to do it, but make sure that your family knows that you're creating a document like this and where they can access it. There is no point in creating a document and then dying without telling people that there is such a document, right? So that should not happen. So document your current assets. You've already outlined your investment strategy, saying I will do low cost funds, I'll do high cost funds, I'll do direct equity. Then you target your asset allocation and you tell your family that I will target my asset allocation on a 5-year basis. I'm 32 now, so I will do it at 32, 37, 42, or maybe whenever there's a boom and I would think I've overdone, so I will look at my asset allocation on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. I will put parameters saying I have to be 55 to 75% in equity, and I'm giving myself such a big range because I will not rebalance just because I'm at 57 or at 58. I will rebalance only when I reach 75. Till then I don't care. And then you keep reducing. You say, oh, now I'm 60 years of age, I will not want to be so much in equity. I will come down to 55% in equity or 45% in equity, something like that. So document your target asset allocation and just keep moving towards that, right? Then you also say what will be your criteria, with whom you are dealing and with what you are dealing, right? You say this is my financial advisor, this is my chartered accountant. You have to capture all this in some master strategy document somewhere. It need not be part of your philosophy statement, but apart from the philosophy statement, you will also have a master document. We will see what is there, what is to be there in the master document, which could contain your will, your succession planning, etc., etc. But your investment selection criteria is something they should know. If you think your family is not interested in doing all this individual stock picking, talking to people, talking to research analysts and talking to your broker, if you think your family is not going to do it, you might as well ask them to put money in an index fund, because they don't even know whom to ask as to which fund to put, and they don't know what is the competence of that person. Then you might as well put everything in an index fund or pick up a couple of funds and just put it into that, right? There are no target date funds in India as of now, but as and when it comes, maybe they should put some money in an index fund and some money in a target fund. Target date fund, simply because they're not interested in doing direct equity picking, which is perfectly all right. But all this has to be captured in some statement. And then you also say on what basis you will reconsider being invested in that. You have invested in the lowest cost index fund, but you find that it has tracking error because the volumes don't justify. Then you say, oh, it has got too much of a tracking error, so I will not be in the so-called cheapest fund. I will be in the fund with the least tracking error. So you may remove from fund A and put it in fund B. Remember, there are tax implications today. Earlier there used to be no capital gains tax on equity. Today it is there, so be careful. I mean, you should not be paying tax just because you shifted from one scheme to other. The benefit of shifting will completely be lost if the capital gains is too high. So be careful about all those things, and your investment philosophy statement is ready. And I said in between that investment philosophy statement has two other things. One is brevity. Keep it as short as possible. Can you write everything? Like typically they say, can you write everything on the back of a postcard, right? Can you write all your philosophy statement inside that? Whatever, you hold it vertically, horizontally, but that's the size of the card that you're allowed. and maybe you could use the front and the back, but that's it. That your investment philosophy statement should be so small, so brief, so that you can explain it to your spouse and to your children and tell them where things are lying. This is very important. Having created wealth, don't destroy it by not sharing what you have done, because I see so many people really doing that. Thank you.